Claire of Clarity Horsemanship today explaining how to teach your horse to lunge. Before we teach anything, it's helpful to know what equipment and skills we need to start and the goal of what we're trying to teach, so I will quickly run through those 3 things with you. Then I'll give you 5 simple steps that will get your horse lunging in a way that will benefit both of you in the long run, followed by video examples with horses of different training levels showing how to apply what you've learned. Let's lunge in. Why do we lunge horses anyway? In a typical barn, you'll see someone running the crazy out of their horse before they get on. The horse's head is high, his tail is higher, and things are getting out of hand. The horse is not learning anything good. Does that mean lunging is bad? No. Just by following the 5 steps I will present soon, even a horse like this can benefit from lunging. Lunging is an excellent training tool. Horses begin to generalize cues and stimuli after an average of 5 different contexts. That means that if he understands your cues while you are beside his head, the moment you are facing a different direction or are farther away, your cue won't necessarily mean anything to him. But if you train the same cue in 5 different positions, the cue becomes ingrained and solid. That's a good thing to have before you add the context of riding the horse. Lunging is an excellent way to begin training vocal cues through classical conditioning and reinforcing operant or pressure cues from a distance. You can see every move that your horse makes, allowing you to deepen your training and shape it how it should be. During correct lunging, the horse learns to use his hind legs for power, his core muscles for balance, and the top line and collection muscles can be developed on the lunge, without those crazy so-called training aids or lunging systems that pull and push a horse into position. No, with lunging, we can train self-carriage. Finally, it can be a great exercise or rehabilitation tool in the right context. So what do you need? Not much. To begin training or retraining a horse to lunge properly, all you need is your halter and rope and a dressage whip. Once you have the basics down, you'll need to add a lunge line to your equipment. A lunge whip can be helpful, but if you trained your vocal cues thoroughly, it may not be necessary. If one of your goals is teaching a young horse bit or bridle cues, adding a bridle with a lunging strap or converter at this stage is optional but useful. All your horse needs to know to begin lunge training is to go forward from whip taps on his rib cage by the girth, and to move his shoulders over from taps on either shoulder. All you need to know to be able to teach your horse to lunge is correct timing of your cues, which is knowing when to stop tapping and when to start tapping, and to understand the goal of lunging. We've already talked about that, so we're ready. Let's examine the 5 simple steps of training a horse to lunge. Check that your horse goes forward into walk and into trot from taps on the rib cage by the girth. He shouldn't move sideways when you tap, but should go straight forward. Train this in position 1, facing forward like you are leading, and position 2, facing backwards so you can see your horse's feet. Train it on both sides. Check that your horse moves the shoulders right and left from taps on the opposite shoulder. As in this photo, this is best accomplished in position 2, facing backwards so you can see the moment that your horse moves correctly and time your release. Next you can change to a lunging style position, but still very close to your horse. You'll be further back beside the shoulder and turned more towards your horse, but with enough angle that you can still walk forward comfortably. Make sure your go and turn buttons still work on both sides. Chances are they won't be as good in this new position. That's because of the horse's context-specific learning, as I mentioned earlier. This is a great time to begin insisting on correct posture and bend while you are close enough to cue the inside hind leg to step through and the outside front leg to move forward and around. Still quite close to your horse, but now maybe dressage whip length away, begin training vocal cues. To use classical conditioning properly, your vocal cue must come before, and therefore predict, your operant or pressure cue. Say, walk on, and then tap the rib cage. Choose your vocal cues before you begin training, and ensure you use the same one for the same response and in the same tone of voice every time for optimal learning. Finally, you can increase the distance between you and your horse and fine-tune the posture and vocal cues on a more traditionally sized lunging circle. Let's look at some videos of horses learning to do this. This horse is young and just starting to carry the saddle and bridle. I'm in the lunging position I was describing, facing towards his shoulder a bit farther back, but still turned forward enough to be comfortable walking forward. I'm less than an arm's length away and practicing moving his shoulder away from me and then moving quicker forward. Here I tap his shoulder, move it away. Then I'm going to tap him forward, and we walk a little bit quicker. Very good. Now move the shoulder away, now go forward. Practicing that sequence of shoulder away and forward is creating excellent posture. See now in the final photo how his inside hind leg is stepping across and through, right underneath the center of his gravity. He's got a beautiful bend around me with a very soft head and neck position. His head and neck are completely upright, not twisted at all by my rope, so I'm not holding him in the lunging position. And his inside front leg is stepping forward and around. We can't see, of course, the outside one because it is on the ground right now. Here's a common training issue. The horse pulls away instead of pushing the circle in. How do I address this? Notice how each time I tap this horse for a faster walk or trot, she turns away. This is a fault of my go training. Ensure that go is straightforward on a line, then return to lunging. At that point I also went back closer to her so I could reach under her neck with my stick and tap the opposite shoulder, bringing her closer into me. Increasing the size of your circle too early can be the culprit for problems like this. Just go back a step or two and train more thoroughly. Finally, let's look at posture and changing direction in a young but rideable horse. We're trotting along happily. Sometimes her head pops up, but see what I do then. Just ask for a little bit more forward. My stick stays in a neutral position pointing down unless I'm actually asking for something with it. Here's our stop. Now I'm going to direct her shoulder out, and we're walking on again. Very simple change of direction. I would prefer if she had stopped and stayed on the outside circle rather than turning in a little bit, but she had been taught to turn in previously, and so that was actually quite a lot better than it used to be. Trotting on again, just from vocal cues. You can see I didn't use the stick at all there. Just cluck cluck, and she trotted on. Now we're starting to get a little moment of stretching here and there with the inside hind leg stepping through and under, outside front leg going forward and around, so her circle doesn't push into me. There, when her circle pushed out a little bit, all it took was gentle pull on the lead rope, and her inside front leg came in. Looking for a little bit more stretch here, sending her forward. There's my stretch. I'm going to free up the movement of the inside hind leg. Motion stops. That was just a vocal cue for halt. That's all. The steps aren't hard, but it takes time and thought. If you're just learning to lunge while you're teaching your horse to lunge, it will feel awkward and clunky at first, until you get used to handling the line and the whip and all your cues. Start slow, train one step at a time, and you will shape the lunging response into a useful training tool.